Okay, let's talk about why you can't focus and what actually fixes it. So, if this sounds familiar to you, like you sit down to do something really important and suddenly your brain wants to do everything and anything else, or you check your phone, you remember something random, suddenly you're hungry, or you get distracted, or overwhelmed, or irritated, and the thing that you wanted to do, like, never actually gets done, and then you wonder, like, why can't I just be focused like a normal person? This video is for you. Now, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not weird. Your inability to focus is not a personal flaw, okay? It's a predictable response to the way that modern life now is designed and the way that our brain works and the habits that you've probably accidentally trained yourself into. And your brain isn't fighting you, it's trying to protect you, and that's why you get distracted. But once you understand this, everything is going to change, and I'm going to show you exactly how to focus. So the first thing is you need to understand, like, why does focus actually feel so hard? Why is it so hard to feel focused? That's the most important thing that you need to understand. And our brains are actually wired for novelty, not monotony. So the phones, the notifications, the tabs, the messages, of course, like you get those little dopamine hits and it feels really good. But a long task that you have to stay focused on, okay, our brain doesn't love that. That's why it's always going to choose a quick hit until you or unless you intentionally train it otherwise. Okay. Or if you are someone who just assumes, well, I am easily distracted. Okay. Your brain's going to assume it's true. It's automatically going to be scanning for distractions to confirm this truth to you. Another reason why we find it really hard to focus is because our environment is louder than our intention. If your surroundings are set up in a way that is constantly pulling your attention, you are going to lose focus no matter how motivated you feel because you're a normal human being. Okay? Many of us, almost all of us, will find it impossible to stay focused in a distracting environment. And the other thing is, if you are associating productivity with pressure, when something feels very heavy, okay, even slightly, your brain is going to resist it. And that discomfort's going to show up as procrastination or, I can't focus. You tell yourself that story, okay? Because our brains does not like to feel, uncomfortable. We actively avoid discomfort most of the time. Or final reason why we might find ourselves distracted is that your to-do list is simply too big. Okay. And when you've deemed everything to be important, your mind shuts down. It's that cognitive mental overload. It kills focus instantly, trying to do too many things at once. What is that proverb like? You chase 8 rabbits at once and you get none. Nothing is wrong with you, okay? These challenges that you have when it comes to focus are totally logical, totally fixable, but I still wanted you to understand why we get distracted. But the reframe here that's going to be really helpful is that focus is not something that you magically have. Okay, it's something that you design, you protect, and you practice. Okay, it's a habit you build. There's no focus gene. There's only the environment that you built, the thoughts you choose, and the habits you train. Your environment, the thoughts you're choosing, and the habits you train. Okay, and the last part is probably like, the bit that most people miss. Okay, but stick with me because once you truly understand what it takes to stay laser focused, you're really going to stop relying on willpower and start relying on the things that actually move the needle. So, the first thing you've got to do is understand what keeps you focused. Your personal focus formula. Most people think focus comes from motivation. Not true. It comes from clarity, simplicity, and removing all those distractions. You probably will stay focused when you know exactly what you should be doing, when it feels manageable, not overwhelming, when you remove those easy distractions, you've decided ahead of time what actually matters the most, and you're giving your brain like one task, one lane instead of five. Am I right? Chances are I am. Your brain loves structure, and the fewer options it has, the more focused and calmer it will become. And so, whenever you're starting any task, ask yourself, remind yourself, my job is only this one thing. That is going to narrow your mental focus, your mental spotlight, and will help your attention lock into that. It's like a flashlight, you're just focused on that thing. The next thing is the identity piece of it, like what steals your focus more than you think, is when you identify all the things that steal your focus. Let's just say your phone, okay? Always the number one culprit. If you consider yourself to be a person, well, I have to answer my phone. No, you don't. I can't turn off all my notifications. Yes, you can. If you're someone who always like leaves all those tabs open, you've got like unmade decisions. What should I do first? If you're confused about that, it's going to steal your focus too. Your phone, notifications, tabs left open, unmade decisions. assuming that things have to be done perfectly. It's got to be perfect. Got to do things perfectly. No, you don't. Just get it started. Or if you're constantly worrying and overthinking about everything, or if you have an environment that competes for your attention, or your tasks are simply too vague or too big, or don't even make sense to you, okay, it's going to lead to distractions. Or if you've simply got people around you that interrupt you and you haven't like set a clear boundary or allowed for a space to remove those interruptions, that's going to distract you and your own internal dialogue. If you're telling yourself a story, this is too hard, I don't feel like it, I'll just do it later. Of course, you're going to allow your focus to get derailed because your brain cannot compete with all that stuff. It can't compete with 12, crappy thoughts, notifications ringing, and all the stuff around you. You have to set yourself up for success. Now, removing distractions isn't about like discipline, it's about designing a space and a life for yourself where focus becomes so much easier for you to embrace rather than just avoiding the task at hand. And so, how do you set yourself up for success? Okay, if you want more focus, okay, you need more than motivation. That's not going to work. You need a system. And so you start with number one clearly defined task, not a list, one task at a time. Okay, your brain follows single lanes. Then you set a focus container. How long are you going to work on it? 15 minutes? 20 minutes? Something small enough that your brain doesn't actually feel any resistance. Set that container ahead of time. And then you, number three, have obviously got to remove the obvious distractions. Put your phone in another room. Close the tabs. Only have around you what you actually need. Okay, make the things that distract you harder to reach. And then you do, and you get to work. Okay? And you acknowledge and you assess what worked. Did that work for you well? Did it not? What worked? Train your brain to see progress. And then you repeat this because focus is going to be a muscle. You don't build muscle by doing weights one day and then walking out of that gym feeling really super strong. Okay, you lift something small repeatedly. That's how you stay focused long term. Not through intensity, but just practice. I feel like I've become a super focused person because I've practiced this so often. I've learned, okay, that distracts me. Got to remove that. This works well for me. Focus doesn't come from force. It comes from designing your space, designing your environment, and finding supportive thoughts. And so supportive thoughts for me are like, clarity, knowing exactly what I want to work on creates calm for me. My environment sets me up, like supports my goals. And I just have to focus on one thing at a time, the next right step. And then distractions don't have to control me. I get to design and remove the ones that are actually going to, like if something's supporting me in my environment, I keep it. If something's not supporting me, I remove it. And those little small focus sessions count way more than long unfocused hours. I promise you can sometimes do more work. I feel like I can do more work in 1 hour than some people can do in many hours. But that's because I've decided I am going to be focused. This is important to me and I finish what I start. And so I want you to think about just one task that you want to move forward with. Set that timer for 15 minutes. Put your phone out of the room. Close the tabs. You've got that task that you're working on and just start. And for 15 minutes, let that be your entire world, your entire focus. You're going to be so shocked when you just laser in on what is truly important, what you need to get done. Okay, you set yourself up for success. You trust yourself to focus. Okay, you're not going to be scattered or overwhelmed anymore. It's your thoughts, your space, whatever. You're setting yourself up for become so much more focused by defining your lane and staying in it. You're going to be calm, intentional, and in control because you're going to be building support systems that actually support you, don't sabotage you. Okay, and if you want to have a stronger focus, definitely make sure that you check out my free guide, the 5 thought shifts that will help you get out of your own way. It is in the description here. But in a nutshell, like your inability to focus is has definitely not been a personal failure. It's probably just been a lack of clarity, not knowing what to focus on, a noisy environment, untrained habits, and a system that probably just wasn't designed for your real life to focus. But you can fix all that. I've shared with you lots of different ideas to help you build focus. And you become a person who just gets things done calmly, steadily, and intentionally by focusing on what needs to be done. Okay, you really deserve a life where your attention works for you, not against you. You set up your space for you, not against you. And that you are focused on the things that are truly most important to you. Okay, set yourself up for success, and I can't wait to catch you in the next video.